So today we are making a chocolate and coffee cake, which is also known as a mocha cake, and I hope you enjoy the recipe. So we're going to start off with lining our tins first. So I'm using 3 7-inch sandwich tins. This recipe will also work in one deep 8-inch tin or 2 8-inch tins as well. You need to cut your baking paper to the size of your tin, grease your tin, and then line it, at least the bottom, with baking paper. So I've greased and lined all of my tins. Is preheat your oven. Okay, so your oven needs to, I like to bake these cakes low and slow, so I do it at 140 fan, 160 if you don't have a fan, and I think that's gas mark 3, but I'll double check for you. I'll put the gas mark up later. Now we move on to the cake mixture. So you want to get yourself a bowl, put your bowl on top of your scale, sieve on top of your scale first, then put your scale on. So 200 grams of plain flour into your sieve directly, that is sitting on top of your bowl. Press your scale, put it back on 0, and then weigh in your cocoa powder. So slowly add your cocoa powder in until you reach 70 grams. So we start off with baking soda. So put your scale back on 0. So 8 grams, okay, of baking soda. Then 5 grams of baking powder. So 5 grams of baking powder and 5 grams of salt. So I'm going to get rid of the scale. We're going to sift all our dry ingredients. Okay, so all you do is gently tap your sieve on the side of your hand and then sift them. So once you've sifted all your flours and stuff, put it back on your scale. Put your scale back on. 300 grams of just regular granulated sugar. Get yourself just a regular whisk. Whisk all your dry ingredients together to mix them and combine them all. Put that to the side for a second. So bring back your scale. And I like to do this in a measuring jug just simply because I feel like it's easier in a measuring jug, and it's helpful to help pour out batter later, because this batter is going to be quite liquidy. So I like to use the aid of the measuring jug to pour the batter into the tins. Put your measuring jug on top of your scale, put your scale on. So 180 grams of buttermilk, vegetable oil. So put your scale back on 0, and then again pour in slowly until you reach 60 grams. But you need some warm water, okay? So we're going in with the warm water. So put your scale on 0, and you need 200 grams of warm water in this recipe. So just add it in slowly until you reach 200 grams. 3 large eggs. There you go. So that's all our wet ingredients. I'm going to use espresso powder. It's a little bit stronger than instant coffee. You can give that a good mix. So all you need to do now is pour your wet ingredients into your dry ingredients and mix it until it's all combined. And it's as simple as that. So that's our batter mixed in. So we're going to add in our batter to the jug. So I'm going to weigh out the batter to split it evenly between all 3 tins. So put the tin on top of your scale, press 0. So pour in your batter until you've put 1/3 of it in your tin. It doesn't have to be this precise. You can just eyeball it if you want to. Our cake batter ready and ready to go into the ovens for about half an hour, 30 minutes. So I'm going to put all 3 of them on the same shelf. Right, so let's move on to the buttercream. So we're making a Swiss meringue buttercream. I've got a small bowl to put in the egg yolks and a big bowl that is, so you need a heat-proof bowl. Okay, it's very important to use a heat-proof bowl here because we're going to put it on top of some hot water to cook. Okay, so you need to use a heat-proof bowl. So I'm using the bowl of my stand mixer. You can use a glass bowl or any kind of heat-proof bowl. Okay, so the egg whites go in your mixing bowl, and then the egg yolks you can keep for later. You can do something else with them, save them, freeze them, or chuck them away, whatever you want to do. So separate your eggs. Okay, so be very careful not to get any yolk inside your bowl. scale underneath your bowl. Your scale on. And we're going to put in 200 grams of just regular granulated sugar. Slowly add it into your egg whites. Now we need to make a bain-marie. Give yourself some water. All you need is a little bit of water in a saucepan, and you don't want to make sure that your bowl doesn't touch the water in the saucepan when you put it on top. Put it on to warm it up. Get it boiling. You put your heat-proof bowl with your egg whites and your sugar on top of your bain-marie, and you're going to whisk it, okay, and cook your egg whites and your sugar together. You want to cook it basically until there's no grains of sugar left in your egg whites, okay? Some of the mixture between your fingers, and if you have to feel for it. If it still feels grainy, you carry on. And while it's on there, continuously mix it, okay? So you don't want to end up with scrambled eggs. So that started boiling, it's steaming away. I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. This bowl on top of the saucepan, and we're going to start whisking, okay? And this is going to cook our egg whites, and it's going to dissolve our sugar. So it takes a few minutes to do this. Yeah, so that is ready. Okay, so again, you don't want to overcook it. So just until the sugar is dissolved. So it kind of looks like this. 10 minutes roughly. Might take less time, depending. It's less eggs, so it could take less than that. But we're just going to basically whip it all up until it turns into a meringue, and then it all cools down, okay? The bowl cools. I'm going to also I'm going to weigh and cut our butter out into small cubes, also just so that it's ready for when we need to add it in there. So let the mixer do its thing while I cut up the butter. So I've got a scale, I'm going to put my bowl on a scale. I'm going to add the butter in bit by bit until we reach 240 grams, okay? It's important to cut your butter into small cubes because you need small cubes to add in bit by bit into your meringue, okay? And your butter should be room temperature and soft. So by soft, it should be squeezable. Okay? So this meringue is almost done, but the bowl is still a bit warm. So it'll take a couple more minutes, okay guys? Also do while this is still whipping is I'm going to melt some chocolate, okay? So let's do that first actually. You want to weigh out 85 grams of dark chocolate. And then you want to melt it and then leave it to cool. And when it's cool, then we're going to add it into our buttercream, okay? So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm weighing out 85 grams of dark chocolate. I'm going to break it into small pieces, put it in the microwave, melt it, and then I'm just going to leave it to the side to cool until our meringue is ready, okay? Okay, so the meringue is ready, guys. I'll show you what it looks like, and the bowl has cooled down. So it took about 5-6 minutes, okay? So it should look like this, nice and fluffy, okay? Now is then we're going to start the mixer again, and we're going to add in cubes of butter one by one. Now if you've got a hand mixer, you don't have a stand mixer, you can still do this, guys, okay? So what you want to do is get your butter in a bowl with one side, have your hand mixer going, and then use one hand to put the butter in one by one, mix it in. I'll continuously mix it until you've used up all your butter, okay? But we've got a stand mixer, so it just makes life easier. So what we're going to do is add our cubes of butter in while it's whisking one by one, okay? Small cubes of butter, and it's 240 grams of unsalted butter, okay? And you just add it into your meringue cube by cube until you've used all of it up. Keep whisking it, and then it'll go soupy, and then it'll come together as a buttercream. So it looks like cottage cheese, and then it'll go nice and smooth after a bit. There we go. I believe the cakes have had half an hour in the oven also, so I'm going to take them out. Cakes should be done, and they should bounce back when you touch the top of them, so that means they're ready. So you just need to turn them out onto a cooling rack and let them cool completely before you start icing them. Let me show you the texture of the buttercream. It's like this. Yeah, it's very smooth, and it's very easy to smooth out and stuff. So let me show you the whisk properly. But now that our buttercream is essentially made, we're going to flavor it now, okay? So I melted some chocolate and it's cool now. It's not hot anymore, so make sure your chocolate's not hot when you add it in. It's 85 grams of cooled melted chocolate. We're going to put that into our Swiss meringue buttercream. We want actually a teaspoon of water into a cup. We want a strong coffee flavour in the buttercream. We didn't put as much coffee in the cake because we don't want a strong coffee flavour in that. But if you don't like coffee, guys, you don't have to add it in. You can just leave it as chocolate flavour buttercream. So we're going to put a tablespoon of espresso powder in that bit of water, and we're going to dissolve it. And then you want to add that into your buttercream as well. At this point, go ahead and scrape the sides of your bowl because you will have buttercream on the sides of your bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape the sides of your bowl just to make sure that everything is incorporated into this really well. And that's it, that's our Mocha buttercream ready, and honestly it smells amazing. And guys, look at the texture of this buttercream. Let me show you guys. It is so silky and so smooth. So if you were to smooth this onto a cake, look how easily it smooths out. Yeah, so much easier to smooth out than your regular American buttercream. I've got a plate. The first layer of your cake goes in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piping bag. I'm going to put the buttercream in a piping bag. Look at that gorgeousness. And then I'm going to just cut it from the bottom. I didn't add a tip in here. If you wanted to make it fancier, you could add a tip into here as well, but I'm not going to because I'm going to do circles, okay? So I'm going to do dollops of buttercream all the way, and this will give you an even layer and it'll look nice when you stack them as well, okay? All the way around. Okay, so that's your base layers, and you want to get your second layer of cake. I didn't have to trim my cakes because they're baked pretty flat, so they're good enough to stack as they are. And you just want to apply a little bit of pressure. And I always put the bottom of the cake at the top because you get a nice flat top. Okay, finish it off. I'm just going to do the same dots at the top as well. I'm going to do slightly bigger dots at the top now, okay? Now, if you wanted to, you could add a piping tip at this point and do swirls if you wanted to, but I'm going to continue with the dot theme. Last thing I'm going to do is going to make some chocolate shavings just to go on top. So get your leftover chocolate from your 100-gram bar because we only used 85 grams. And then get yourself a sharp knife. You want to basically get your sharp knife and then just pull down on the chocolate with the sharp knife, and that will give you curls, okay? Just like so. And you'll end up with shards like this of chocolate, which are really nice for decorating the top of your cake. Don't pick them up with your hands because they'll melt, so get your knife and literally just place those chocolate curls on top of your cake in random areas. Everywhere. That is our chocolate mocha cake done, guys. What do you think? By all means, if you guys want to just fill it as a normal cake and coat it as a normal cake, you can do that as well. I hope you enjoyed them. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and enjoy the rest of your day.